Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Man United stars are unhappy with Ralph Rangnick's training and give a nickname to Chris Armas, who's the assistant coach. Ralph Rangnick has been Manchester United's interim manager for over 2 months now. He's already under pressure. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then it said Rangnick is expected to continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. Manchester United will not offer Rangnick the job on a permanent basis. He's endured one transfer window as Manchester United's interim manager. It was a very disappointing January transfer window because last month Manchester United did not make any signings, and Man United wanted to sign a midfielder because when Rangnick first came in, he identified Manchester United's midfield as a weakness. We should have let Lingard and Henderson leave last month, but we blocked their exits. We had the incident with Mason Greenwood towards the end of last month. Man United let around 8 players leave though last month. There's been good performances under Rangnick, there's been poor performances as well. But I'd say Rangnick's totally blameless for the poor performances. Players have had to take responsibility. Because I've got a lot of respect for Rangnick. I think he's a very good coach, and of course he is German. He's managed 12 games so far in all competitions. He's lost 2 games at the moment. Before Manchester United, he was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Now, I want to give you some news on Cristiano Ronaldo. Unhappy Cristiano Ronaldo's future is in doubt after Burnley storm off. Ronaldo started on the bench against Burnley, surprisingly, but it did come on in the game. Ronaldo is planning for showdown talks with his agent about his Manchester United future. By the way, Ronaldo's son has been unveiled as a Manchester United academy player. Revert back to Cristiano Ronaldo though, he's been out of form recently. I don't think he's scored in his last 5 or is it 6 games. He'll leave Man United in the summer. Well, it said earlier on this season that Ronaldo will leave Manchester United in the summer if they fail to qualify for the Champions League. And he said Ronaldo faces a 25% pay cut on his wages should Man United fail to qualify for the Champions League. Not so long ago, it said Manchester United consider swapping Cristiano Ronaldo for PSG boss Mauricio Pochettino. Was it around a month ago now? Ronaldo gave an interview and he was very critical of the youngsters. So reflecting on that, he was demanding more from the youngsters. And he was backing Ralph Rangnick to do a good job at Man United, and he also said, I'm not at Man United to compete for 6th or 7th. He said finishing below 3rd is unacceptable. Since Ronaldo re-signed for the club, he's scored 14 goals in all competitions. He's got over 800 goals in his career. Manchester United re-signed Ronaldo last summer for 20 million with add-ons included. He wears a number 7 shirt and his contract at Manchester United expires next year. There's an option to extend for a further year. Ronaldo receives almost £500,000 a week, so he's the highest earner at the club at the moment. So that's more news on Ronaldo. On my last video, I gave you more news on Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino has responded to Manchester United's interest. Pochettino insists he's still 200% focused on PSG amid Manchester United's interest. Manchester United players want Mauricio Pochettino as their next manager. Earlier on in the season, Pochettino reportedly told his friends he will be leaving PSG in the summer. And reports from France said the other week that Pochettino could be sacked by March. Pochettino's job hinges on PSG getting to the next round of the Champions League. PSG play Real Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. PSG are trying to get Zidane to replace Pochettino. And I'm hearing as well that if Pochettino does become Man United's next manager, he wants to sign Harry Kane, but that could depend on what happens with Cristiano Ronaldo. Pochettino has been PSG manager for over a year. He has won a French Cup with them. His contract at PSG expires next year. He is a good manager, Pochettino, even though he's hardly won anything. You know, I like the way he develops players. You know, I think if he came to Manchester United, he would suit the strappings of the club and he would get the best out of these group of players. Do you think he could be capable of winning trophies at Man United? Well, he hasn't won much, has he, so far, but he knows the Premier League well, because before Pochettino endured a 5.5-year managerial tenure with Tottenham. Analysing the vast majority of his tenure at Tottenham, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top four. But back in 2018, he got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final. At one point, he almost won the league when he was Tottenham manager. Tottenham made a bad mistake sacking him. Before Tottenham, he managed Southampton. He only endured a short managerial tenure with them, but he still managed to guide Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. So they're the clubs he's managed in the Premier League so far. And a while ago, he managed Espanyol. Revert back to when Man United sacked Jose Mourinho. Manchester United should have got Pochettino, but the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. There's a lot of Manchester United fans that would like to see Erik ten Hag get recommended in. Well, Ralph Rangnick prefers Erik ten Hag to Mauricio Pochettino. Not so long ago, a Dutch journalist claimed that Erik ten Hag will leave Ajax at the end of the season following the departure of Mark Overmars. Erik ten Hag was upset when Mark Overmars left. You've got to admire the work Erik ten Hag has done at Ajax. You know, he's developed the young players well. He's won a couple of titles with them. Revert back to 2019, he got Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals, and I think if he kept managing the Premier League, he'd replicate what he's done with Ajax. He's been Ajax manager for over 4 years. Ajax appointed him in back in 2017. His contract at Ajax expires next year. Ajax is the 4th club he's managing in his managerial career, because before Ajax he managed Utrecht, Bayern Munich's reserves, and before then he managed Go Ahead Eagles. Like I updated you on my last video, Luis Enrique has been added to Manchester United's managerial shortlist. Luis Enrique is the head coach of Spain. He's been the head coach of Spain for quite a few years now. His contract with Spain expires later on this year. Before Luis Enrique managed Barcelona, he won a few trophies with them. At one point he managed Celta Vigo, and before he managed Roma. So Man United are looking for the 5th permanent manager since Ferguson retired. Man United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson retired. We sacked David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and last year Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired, and like I've mentioned so many times, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. Alex Ferguson, greatest manager of all time. He brought success to Manchester United. He won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles, but he didn't settle in straight away, Ferguson, because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Alex Ferguson was Manchester United manager for 26 years. So reflecting on that, he was a very long-serving manager. Manchester United have only won 4 trophies in 10 years. Man United have not won a trophy since 2017, that's 5 years ago. That's nowhere near good enough to our standards. We've not won the Premier League since 2013. Man United though have won 20 titles, 13 of them are Premier League titles. And Man United in 10 years have spent around 1.3 billion. I heard it's over 1.3 billion. We've recouped around 397 million in sales, but Man United have wasted over 900 million pounds in the transfer market. The Glazers, they've been one of the biggest issues at the club for a very long time. The Glazers are still at Manchester United. The Glazers have owned Manchester United for around 16 and a half years. They bought the club for 500 million back in 2005. They need to go, but revert back to April last year, the Glazers were planning to scrap the Champions League for that European Super League. So reflecting on that, Manchester United fans protested against the Glazers at the Carrington training ground and at Old Trafford, but in the end the Glazers ended up apologising. Well, that's what Solskjaer mentioned at the time. Towards the end of last season, it said the Glazers were only willing to sell the club for 4 billion. Obviously our chief executive is Richard Arnold. He replaced Ed Woodward, didn't he? Was it at the start of this month? I'm glad that Ed Woodward did step down, because Woodward was one of the biggest issues at the club for a long time. Ed Woodward was at Manchester United for 17 years. In the summer, I'm expecting Manchester United to make some signings. On the other side of things though, I'm expecting a lot of players to depart the club in the summer. So in the summer, I reckon Dean Henderson will leave. Phil Jones and Eric Bailly will leave. Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, there's a very good chance they'll depart the club in the summer because they're not good enough to represent Man United. Matic, I think he'll leave as well in the summer. There's a good chance Pogba will leave in the summer. Lingard will also leave in the summer. Mata will leave as well. Ronaldo, he'll probably leave, and Edison Cavani will leave. Like I say to you, Manchester United have got very good players. But on the other side of things, we've got inconsistent players as well. You know, look who we've got. We've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. But like I say, Ronaldo's been out of form in his last 3 or 4 games, I'd say now. We've got Jaden Sancho. He's becoming really good now, is Jaden Sancho. You know, Sancho played very well at Turf Moor against Burnley. He also played well in the cup game against Middlesbrough because he scored in that game, Sancho. That was his first Old Trafford goal and it was his FA Cup debut. And there's other good games he's had as well since he signed for the club, but he's still done nowhere near as well as a lot of Manchester United fans expected. But I've mentioned so many times before, it does take some players time to settle in, and now Sancho is starting to settle in. You know, we've got Juan Mata, obviously, don't have a great deal of a perception on him anymore because he doesn't get in the team. You know, Mata lost his place in the team a while ago, but overall I think he's had a good career at Man United. Anthony Elanga, you know, he looks a very good asset for the first team squad. He's done really well since he got into our first team squad. Don't forget, Elanga missed a decisive penalty in the cup game against Middlesbrough. And reflecting on that missed penalty, you know, Elanga was racially abused on social media, and I totally disagreed with that. He's only the age of 19, so he's still very young. He joined Man United's academy at the age of 12. Marcus Rashford, you know, he's been in form recently. Rashford did well at Turf Moor, made some good runs in behind, got in some good positions, but his decision making was poor at times. He had a good early chance against Burnley. He had chances in the cup game against Middlesbrough. He also had a disallowed goal against Middlesbrough. You know, came off the bench and scored the winner against West Ham before the international break. Came off the bench and scored in the 3-1 win against Brentford. That ended his 3-month goal drought. You know, it's about time Rashford was in form because he's endured a lot of poor games since he had that operation on his shoulder. Rashford missed the first 2 months of the season with that shoulder problem, and not so long ago he had a minor leg injury. You know, we've got Edison Cavani. He's good as well. But he weren't too good against Burnley. Obviously, Cavani started ahead of Ronaldo against Burnley. He was anonymous against Burnley, apart from that one chance he had. We got Bruno Fernandes as well. He's now back in form, which is good to see. Fernandes, you know, was good at Turf Moor. His passing was good, his vision was good, he got into good positions. You know, Rafael Varane's disallowed goal came from the Bruno Fernandes set piece. He had chances in the cup game against Middlesbrough. The best chance he had is when he hit the post. I don't understand how he missed that. And Fernandes, I thought, played very well in the games against Brentford and Villa away in the league because he got 2 assists against Brentford and he scored both of Man United's goals in the 2-2 draw against Villa. Jesse Lingard, not good enough and doesn't get in the team, does he? He's out of contract at Man United in the summer. Fred, he's not good enough to represent the club either. He's not available at the moment anyway due to COVID. McTominay, I don't think he's good enough. He's been poor in his last few games, but I did say not so long ago that he's been one of our best performers under Rangnick because he has had some good games under Rangnick. Paul Pogba, he's a good player as well. He's not only a good player, he's an imperative player. You know, since he's come back, he's done really well. You know, Pogba was good against Burnley, he scored. That was his first goal of the season, and it was his first Premier League appearance since October because don't forget Pogba was out with injury for a while. He's endured a few injuries since he re-signed for the club, so you can say he's injury prone. Pogba did well against Middlesbrough in the cup, didn't he? Don't forget he was the one that won the penalty in normal time. Matic, not good enough. Like I said, he'll leave in the summer. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities, and he's the only predominant centre defensive midfielder Man United have got at the moment. Alex Telles, he's a good left back. Hasn't played the last couple of games due to COVID, but I've been hearing that Telles is now back, so could be in contention to play against Southampton tomorrow lunchtime. Obviously, with Telles missing, Luke Shaw has been playing. To be fair, Shaw's done well in the last couple of games he's played in. Shaw, he's a good left back overall. He was superb last season. In fact, he was probably the best left back in the Premier League last season. But he's been nowhere near as good this season as he was last season. Luke Shaw is injury prone, which is a concern. You got Harry Maguire, not good enough to represent the club. Man United fans are calling for the captaincy to be stripped of Harry Maguire, because quite clearly he's not a leader. I've got to say Harry Maguire is Manchester United's worst ever signing. And Maguire cost us against Burnley because Maguire was at fault for Varane's disallowed goal because Maguire was in an offside position, and he was at fault for Burnley's equaliser because Maguire decided to not block Rodriguez. Maguire's endured a few injuries as well since he signed for the club. Bailly, yeah, he's a good centre-half, but he doesn't get in the team much, plus he's injury prone, which is a concern. We've got Raphael Varane, very good centre-half Varane. Varane needs a world-class centre-half alongside him. Because Varane alongside Maguire, they don't complement each other, do they? To be fair, Varane's done very well since he come back from that hamstring injury. Varane played very well against Burnley. It was unfortunate to have that goal disallowed, and he was good defensively against Burnley. He played well against Middlesbrough in the Cup, looked well composed in that one. He did very well against West Ham before the break. Played well in the 3-1 win against Brentford, especially in the first half. We've got Victor Lindelof now. He's definitely not good enough to represent the club. He's missed the last few games, hasn't he? At one point he was out due to personal reasons. Not so long ago he got his house robbed, didn't he? We also have Phil Jones. Not good enough, doesn't get in the team much anyway. He'll leave Man United in the summer, like I've mentioned. We've got Diego Dalot. Not a great player overall, but to be fair with you, I've been impressed with Dalot under Rangnick. Well, Dalot is our first choice right back under Rangnick. And Wan-Bissaka, not good enough. He's no longer our first choice right back. He was our first choice right back under Rangnick. Under Solskjaer, sorry, but no longer now. I think defensively Bissaka's good, but the attacking side of his game lets him down. We've got De Gea, world-class goalkeeper. He's been good this season. He's now back to his best. De Gea was in goal for the game against Burnley at Turf Moor. He had hardly anything to do. He made one good save in the second half to deny Wout Weghorst, and he made some good punches away. Not so long ago, De Gea got named the Premier League's Player of the Month for January. De Gea became the first goalkeeper to win the award in 6 years. We've got Dean Henderson, he's our second choice keeper. He's a good keeper, Henderson, but obviously doesn't get in the goal much, does he? Because revert back to last summer, David De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. Henderson's only made 3 appearances this season. We've also got Tom Heaton. He's our third choice goalkeeper. We brought him in as a backup, didn't we? And obviously Lee Grant's still at Man United. So there you go, they're the goalkeepers we've got. Hannibal Mejbrai, he's now in our first team, isn't he? I don't really know much about him, to be honest with you. To Heath Chon's back at Man United. He's out with injury at the moment. And you obviously know the news on Mason Greenwood, don't you? You know, Greenwood was a good player. He won't be a good player any longer. Before the Burnley game, Mason Greenwood was dropped by Nike after his rape allegation. He's banned from England and Man United, so he can't train or play any matches. The other week, Greenwood was released on bail after his arrest. Greenwood was arrested twice on suspicion of sexual assault, making threats to kill, rape and assault. And the other week he was officially removed from FIFA 22, so it's good that EA took action. Greenwood's career at Man United is officially over, so too is his England career officially over as well. Manchester United do play Southampton tomorrow at Old Trafford. It's a 12:30 kick-off. It's a must-win game for Manchester United. You know, like I say, Manchester United are going into the game on the back of a 1-1 draw with Burnley. The players Man United are missing is Fred, because he's got COVID, like I've already mentioned. Eric Bailly's still injured but doesn't get in the team much. Chong's got an injury. And that's about it, really. As for Southampton, you know, they recently beat Tottenham 3-2. Manchester United won this fixture against Southampton at Old Trafford last season 9-0. That was Manchester United's biggest win since 1995, because we beat Ipswich 9-0 back in 1995. It was a draw between Southampton and Man United earlier on this season. Southampton's manager is Ralph Hasenhüttl. He's been Southampton manager for over 3 years. Southampton appointed him in back in December 2018. He's under contract with Southampton until 2024. Ralph Hasenhüttl has already said that he will consider retiring when his contract expires at Southampton. Like I've already said though, Southampton have got some good players, you know, that could cause Manchester United problems tomorrow. You know, they've got Nathan Redmond. Redmond is probably the best player Southampton have got. He's been out with injury, Nathan Redmond. Armando Broja, you know, he's another good player. He could cause problems for Manchester United. James Ward-Prowse, he's also a very good midfielder for Southampton. Romeo's a good midfielder. They've got Adam Armstrong. They got him from Blackburn, Southampton. They've got Che Adams, Theo Walcott. Theo Walcott, I think, was on loan with Everton last season. Don't forget, Walcott is a former Arsenal player as well. They have Shane Long. Shane Long is a former West Brom player. Valentino Livramento's a good defender. Livramento's out with injury for Southampton at the moment. Romain Parrard, he's a good defender. Nathan Teller, he's been out with injury. Jan Bednarik, he's a defender. Jack Stevens, he's also a defender. William Smallbone, he's a defender. He's just come back from injury not so long ago. Kyle Walker-Peters, you know, he's a good defender. The goalkeepers Southampton have got, they've got Alex McCarthy, he's out with injury. Caballero. Fraser Forster and Harry Lewis, so they're the goalkeepers they've got. Let me put into the equation Southampton have lost good players. You know, they lost Danny Ings to Villa, lost Vestergaard to Leicester, lost Charlie Austin quite a few years ago, they lost Højbjerg to Tottenham, sorry if I've pronounced his name wrong, they lost Cedric Soares to Arsenal as well. They had Mina Mimo last season on loan, Southampton, but now Mina Mimo's back at Liverpool. They lost Ricky Lambert as well. Let's mention some other players they've lost. You know, they lost Klein, Van Dijk, Lallana, Lovren, Mane. Klein, Lovren, Lallana, Van Dijk and Mane all went to Liverpool from Southampton. So Liverpool have done very good transfer business with Southampton before. So there you go. And after Southampton, Manchester United play Brighton. That's on the 15th of February. That's a rearranged game. Man United were supposed to be playing them on the 18th of December last year, but the game got postponed because of a COVID outbreak. And after Brighton, Manchester United play Leeds. On my next video, I'll be giving you my reaction to Rangnicks' press conference ahead of this game against Southampton. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.